Welcome to More to Wonder. This week we take on the theme of testimony. I have a little bit of an original song for you later in the video, but right now I want to talk about the testimony of John the Baptizer, and he's the subject of our text today. And so let's take a look at the text. In verse 6 of John's Gospel, we have the record that John says, "There came a man sent from God whose name was John." Now, this feature right here, "he was sent from God," is so critical to the understanding of the testimony of John, because John, the gospel writer, wants us to take his own testimony, his record of the gospel, and to take it seriously. And he builds credibility on the foundation of John the Baptizer, who preceded him. As we think about this text, we want to remember that this testimony is something about Christ, and he refutes the idea that he is the Christ. And this is central to this section as well. But let us go back to the text now and look at the beginning of his testimony, which is verse 19 up at the top of the screen now. "This is the testimony of John when the Jews sent to him priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, 'Who are you?' And he confessed and did not deny, but confessed, 'I am not the Christ.' They asked him, 'What then? Are you Elijah?' And he said, 'I am not.' 'Are you the prophet?' And he answered, 'No.' Then they said to him, 'Who are you? So that we may give an answer to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?'" Now, critical to this testimony is the inquisitors that come and ask John about his identity. They want to know. Now, they're seeking the Messiah on one hand, and he says he's not. And they continue to ply him with questions, and he doesn't shrink back from the criticism, because the questions go on to ask him, "Why then are you baptizing? If you're not any of these, then why are you baptizing?" And how do we know that he didn't shrink back from it? If we go down here in verse 35, we see that this next day, John baptized Jesus. He carried forth his ministry despite the criticism. And this is the call of God upon our life, that when we sense the right thing to do within God's will, that we carry it out without shrinking back. We bear out our testimony as God has lived in us and worked through us to his glory. And this is central to the idea here. Let's go back to verse 26. And in this verse right here, we see that John says this about himself: "I baptize in water, but among you stands one whom you do not know. He comes after me, the thong of whose sandal I am not worthy to untie." And this is significant to the idea of testimony, and as well sets a good example for us. We give God the credit, we give God the glory, we submit to God in service, and we claim that our work is the work of God under God's headship. And this is the idea of testimony here as well. Now, it says that these men, these people who come, do not know. This is the second time John has mentioned this, because he says in verse 10 here, "He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and those who were his own did not receive him." And there's this idea that we have the testimony of John, a man of God who recognizes the Christ, in contrast to those who say they're of a religious order that do not know him, and the world did not know him. But this gospel here is the testimony to the fact that we should know Jesus. And that's what I want to convey today, that the idea of testimony, we bear a testimony, we bear it faithfully in spite of criticism, and we give God the glory and the credit for the things he deserves credit for. Everything. And as we do that without fear under the pressure of criticism, under the worry of acceptance. We need to put those things aside and bear our testimony faithfully as John did, and I just pray that you will do that. This is my testimony. I believe in Christ, only living for his glory. I lay down my life. I follow Jesus as he pleases, for he shed his blood for me on the cross of Calvary. This is my testimony. I believe in Christ. That's it for this episode of More to Wonder and the John series and on our theme of testimony. I just pray that you have a great week and come back for more. More to Wonder podcasts, and moretowonder.org. Have a blessed day. Retains all rights to this content and prohibits any copy or distribution without express permission.